Tonight, inside the Christie Bridge federal subpoenas, reports the feds are targeting perhaps Christie's closest ally. Reaction that the worry may not be going to Washington, but just staying in Trenton. And what if the Christie campaign either knew or ordered the GWB lane closures? Bridgegate begins a new chapter. And then the real reason the GOP is so pro-gun, because they keep shooting themselves in the foot. You mean you don't want to hear about Mike Huckabee talk about women's libidos? He did, and now the party is stuck on a social outrage issue again instead of issues it can win on. We'll analyze. And later, the State of the Union is Tuesday night. We'll tell you what the president will say, but I'm already having trouble staying awake, and I'll actually be there in Washington Tuesday. Is this the least significant State of the Union address in recent memory? All that plus the political version of Keeping Up with the Joneses or the Vanderbilts, and the Republican turned independent turned Democrat in Florida as well. Good evening and welcome to RFL. I'm Andrew Whitman. Richard French has the night off. Thank you so much for joining us on this Friday evening, January the 24th. We begin with Christie, and yes, they are making a federal case out of it. As we reported yesterday, the U.S. Attorney for New Jersey sending subpoenas to the Christie re-election campaign and the state Republican Party seeking documents. Those subpoenas, like the ones from state lawmakers, due back the first week of February. ABC News tonight reporting the focus of those subpoenas is this man primarily, Bill Stepien, longtime Christie associate who managed both Christie gubernatorial campaigns. But he was caught in that big email dump calling the mayor of Fort Lee an idiot. In response, Christie canceled plans to make Stepien the new head of the state GOP and an advisor to the Republican Governors Association. That on the day of Christie's massive press conference. But that focus on Stepien and the thought that if anyone might be linked to smoking gun proof that Governor Christie knew about the lane closure business, it would be Stepien, may have changed the tone of the Christie conversation.
Before you decide what's a federal crime, you probably want to find out who gave all the orders to whom. And I think that it may connect to Christie. There's going to be so much bad news for him that, a lot of people think he'll be lucky to stay as governor, never mind president.
Paul Munshine there, the editorial reporter for the political opinion writer for the New York Star Ledger there. Now, for more on the Christie-Stepien relationship and other observations from the Christie Bridgegate siege, I spoke earlier with Melissa Hayes, who covers Trenton and the governor for The Record and NorthJersey.com. Melissa, the U.S. Attorney's Office, as we know, is subpoenaing the Christie re-election campaign and the state GOP. Now, obviously, everybody's going to be looking through what comes back from these subpoenas for any indication that the governor knew that the smoking gun or that he ordered the lane closure for the GWB. But beyond that, are there dangers for Governor Christie here if it's found out that this was coordinated by or even ordered by the re-election campaign? Is that as damaging as it might be if we know that Christie himself ordered this?
Well, it certainly doesn't look good. I mean, he's already let his campaign manager go. Officially, he said for calling the mayor of Fort Lee an idiot in an email. Christie's used that language himself, so you've got to wonder if he thinks there's more to it. So it certainly doesn't help. I mean, it's not the same as directly being tied to the governor. If we find out the governor ordered it or he knew about it, Democrats have already said that they'd be looking into actions to remove the governor if it comes back to him directly. But if it's just people he's associated with, it certainly doesn't look good. It could hurt probably his presidential chances. But it's not as severe as if it were ordered by him directly.
You mentioned that he fired his campaign director, Bill Stepien, who was also online to become the head of the the GOP in New Jersey and the Governors Association. ABC and some other places are reporting that subpoenas are looking for email links between Christie and Stepien. I'm wondering if you can confirm any of that in your reporting. And you follow the governor pretty closely. How close is he with Bill Stepien? Is he closer than, let's say, Bridget Kelly or David Wildstein or some of the other people who have already gotten the axe in this incident?
Yeah, well, to your first question, I haven't heard back directly that that's what they're looking for. I did talk to Bill Stepien's attorney yesterday, who told me that Bill Stepien has not received a subpoena from the U.S. Attorney's Office. So I thought that was very interesting. So far, they've only subpoenaed Christie's campaign and the state GOP, so far as we know. But I mean, this is a very close confidant of the governor's. This is a guy who traveled all over the country with him to fundraisers and different events. He was one of his top political strategists. He was with him from the 2009 campaign, and he's got a long history. He's a New Jersey guy who's worked on a lot of Republican campaigns, and Christie really relied on him. This was a big blow to him to lose this person.
So if there was somebody close to the governor who would have known about his role, if there was one, the governor's, it would be Bill Stepien.
You could say that, yes.
Okay. There's talk also that, Christie could be in trouble just finishing out his term in Trenton, much less, running for the White House in 2016. Just from what you're seeing, reaction from other lawmakers, people in the Christie administration, are you getting any sense of that? Is there any bunker mentality setting in among the Christie group?
Well, I mean, so we talked to actually Senate President Steve Sweeney was in our office today for a meeting with us, and I'm working on a story now, and he said that he's going to continue to give Christie the benefit of the doubt. He's obviously a little skeptical about all the allegations that are out there, but, you know, he says Christie said he was lied to. We're going to keep working with him. Democratic leaders said that after the State of State address. After his inaugural address on Tuesday, Democratic leaders were saying that even though all of this is going on, we can't let this get in the way of the work that we need to do for the residents of New Jersey. So while they're investigating the situation, there is a legislative panel looking into this. They're also saying they're going to go forward with bills and different measures they need to do for the voters. So it seems like for now, they're going to continue working with the governor.
You know, speaking of that, the governor's favorability numbers in one recent poll down 22 points. And we see a lot in situations like this. Look to Washington right now. The president's popularity is way down. All of a sudden, even fewer people seem to want to work with him or cross the aisle to work with him. Are you getting a sense that things may be turning for the governor when it comes to dealing with the legislature in Trenton? I mean, they say they want to work with him, but if he doesn't have that popularity behind him, will that be more difficult?
Yeah. I mean, not yet, and he's still got, he did take a 22-point dip, but he's still got a pretty high favorability rating. It's still above 50%, which for any politician is pretty good. Christie had ridiculously high numbers after Superstorm Sandy. He was up at 70% at one point. So he's taken a hit over this, but it doesn't look like Democrats are letting that get in the way right now. For now, they're still saying, like, we've got work to do. It's more important than this scandal that's going on. You know, we've got to get back to work. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. The legislative panel is meeting on Monday. They just merged the Assembly and Senate panels. They're going to vote on that Monday to approve that merger, and then they're going to meet on Monday afternoon, and we'll see what happens. But for now, I mean, Democratic leaders are saying they're going to continue to work with the governor until, you know, maybe it comes out that it was connected to him directly. Then they'll see what happens.
Melissa Hayes, political reporter for The Record. She covers Governor Christie. She covers Trenton and so much more. Thanks very much, Melissa.
Thanks for having me.